following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
The Nostalgia Funhouse proudly dedicates all episodes in the loving memory of Connie Chirac. Hey, Johnny. I'm glad you finally showed up.
Oh, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I got lost on the way here. I mean, this is a heck of a line for this show.
Yeah, I heard the show's great.
I've heard nothing but good things. The Talk No Less Politics show. It sounds fantastic.
I don't think we're standing in line for that one.
That's what
I think it's
what this is. Politics. No, let's talk about it. That's what the show's called.
I see a different. Wait.
Okay.
No,
yes,
we're
politics.
standing. No, we're standing in line for the Nostalgia Funhouse.
Oh, you know what? That sounds even better.
Jeez. You know what? They probably got a really great sponsor.
I bet they do.
Are you watching Are You Afraid of the Dark? In the dark? Well, what are you afraid of? What's so terrifying about tales of the unknown, the unseen, and the undead? After all, there is nothing in the dark that isn't there in the light. Or is there? Tune in for another tale of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Tomorrow at 7:30, 6:30 Central on Nickelodeon.
Because the real terror never begins until night falls.
Yes, hello, it is I, Dracula. Tonight's podcast will frighten you. It will scare you. It will change you. Tonight, the podcast will grade the top 10 best episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? I submit for the approval of the Midnight Society, the tale of the Nostalgia Haunted House. Well,
wow.
And then I don't know, you can't see us because it's an audio medium, but then Dracula threw some kind of weird dust on a fire and bam, here we are. Yeah.
I'm just glad it's not the Dracula from panel discussion.
Oh, what are you talking about? That he's a good guy. Yeah. But side note, did you know that the reason they don't actually tell you what that stuff is that they throw in the fire is because they didn't want kids to actually start fires in their houses. They didn't want to teach kids how to actually start a fire. So.
I know they always have the random bucket of water.
Yeah,
but yet I don't see any water sources.
Yeah, because they're deep in the woods. Have you thought about that? Okay, so we're talking about Are You Afraid of the Dark? One of the things that kept popping in my head is they're doing this late at night in the middle of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the parents?
It's the 90s.
Yes, but it's not like 5 p.m, Andrew. It's like...
Okay, so we've two vastly different childhoods in some aspect. Probably around this age, I would be like, Mom, I'm going to so-and-so's house and we're going to camp. We were by the house. So, okay. So there's a lot of empty area.
Yeah.
In the area that from like 6 until I graduated high school. So there's a lot of empty area. So we would just, as long as we were in the proximity of somebody's house, we would just camp out in a field.
Yeah. I think everybody, I did that. I get that. But this is all the time for one. They are doing this constantly for one. For two, sometimes when somebody's new to the group, they put a bag over their head.
I saw that. I rarely watched 10 episodes. And I was like, why would they? Well, you don't want them to know where it is.
Which tells you that it's deep in the woods. It's not just like maybe in the vicinity.
Maybe it's not deep in the woods. Maybe it's somewhere close.
I don't think so. If you're going to back somebody over the head, and you just go, hey, we're going, and you just walk them 5 feet, they're going to know where it's at.
It's to disorientate you. When I went into boot camp, we went in at night, and once we hit the gates to Paris Island, we were told to put our heads down, and the guy made sure we kept our heads down. So we had no idea where we came in, where we came out of. No idea at all. All of a sudden, 13 weeks later, when I graduate, I realized that the gate that we came in was like 20 feet away from us.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you know, I get it, but still, I mean, you're walking a young teen. These are old teens, by the way. These are like 15-year-olds at most.
Yeah, I would say anywhere between probably 13 to 15, maybe.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Yeah. So this is Are You Afraid of the Dark? Of course.
Top 10 according to IMDB. I couldn't.
Yeah, it's the top 10 rated episodes on IMDb. So the best of the best of Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was on for 6 seasons. The first 5 are up on Paramount Plus.
Mhm.
The other ones can be very tough to find. Just so you know,
But as we found out,
I was going to say
all
real quick,
episodes.
right? Now all of them are on there.
Yeah,
one of
even
them
like
I had
season
to,
5s and stuff aren't on there.
Yeah, one of them I had to watch on YouTube. It was free on YouTube. The other 2, I'm just gonna let everybody know I didn't get to watch because I you know, you got to join our Patreon so I can watch episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I had a little extra cash for $1.99 a piece. I think I bought.
You paid
both.
You paid $4 for this.
I did, but I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil because I think it would kind of spoil grading and rating if I'm like,
yeah,
it was worth it. It wasn't worth it. So
yeah, but I am going to ask you those questions after you give your reviews. Like, were they worth the $1.99? Yeah, but one thing I was also going to say is, of course, so basically I've watched 8 of the 10. Do you want to do the 2 that I didn't get to watch? So I'm not going to have a fair review first or last because those will be all you. So you decide.
I think we should just go in order.
Okay.
I think it just go in order from 10 all the way to 1.
Just like what was the website that we used?
It was under Screen Rant.
Right, Screen Rant did that.
Yeah, because I got them all in order when I took notes as well. So
I did too. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, Screen Rant did it. They wrote articles. I did not read any of those articles.
I did not either. I didn't want to be tainted.
Yes, that's how I looked at it too. I was about to, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to go.
Well, let me rephrase. I read the 2 that I didn't get to see.
Okay.
Because I didn't get to see them, so I read about them. But the other ones that I watched, I did not read about. Oh, and here's a side note, and Matt, our buddy Matt will love this. I kept looking at that one of the kids, and I was like, why does that girl look so familiar? I know I've seen her in stuff before. She looks so familiar. That's because that's because she's the daughter on one of the greatest TV sitcoms of all time, Reba.
There is all over Are You Afraid of the Dark?
All kinds of people are in this.
There are stars galore.
Yes.
If you just go through, I mean, you got guys from like that are doing the craziest comedy movies now, and I can't even. Jay Baruchel.
Yeah. Yes.
Like I was looking through. He's not in any of these episodes, but
if you don't know his name, if you look up a picture, you'll definitely recognize him in some stuff. A lot of this too is they filmed this, if I'm thinking correctly, a lot of these shows they would film up in Canada.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these kids are these Canadian actors. And like I'll go ahead and tell you Ryan Gosling is one of them. And we will talk about him soon. But originally he was going to be one of the main kids, I believe. But he had to turn it down because he got accepted as in the Mickey Mouse Club. So
well, you gotta go with Mickey Mouse.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Matt would love this one if he looks up The Tale of the Bigfoot Ridge. Hayden Christensen.
Oh,
yeah, Matt.
Man, maybe Vader someday later.
Yeah, we all know Matt's a mark for that. In the archives from when the show was a different name, there's Matt and I discussing about how Hayden Christensen played the character correctly, and I've never seen so much joy come over Matt's face at one point.
Yeah, that's a completely different conversation than what we're going to talk about today, but I agree. That role was, if anybody has any issues with his acting, it's not his fault. It's how he was told to do it. So, and the writing, if we're being fair, it was also the writing.
But are you ready to get into this?
I'm very excited to get into this. As an old podcast I used to say, Andrew, let's get into it.
That feels dirty with my name in it. Like I don't feel like I have the honor.
You do now, just don't tell Trevor or I'll feel bad.
Okay.
Now you were going to say something you want before we actually get into these reviews.
No,
right?
you stole Dracula stole it. I was going to say
for the
approval. I knew one of us were going to do it. That's why we do podcasts together.
Yeah.
As you can see, none of this is planned out from the start.
I
Other
literally
than
just
what we're
said,
gonna do.
I mean, I'm not Dracula, obviously. It's not just me putting on a voice. But I said, Andrew, I think Dracula wants to bring us in. He's got an idea, and that was the idea.
Well, as long as I'm just happy it was said.
Yeah, it's got to be said, right? It's got to
be.
be. Now, before we get into our actual reviews, the show overall, Andrew, I definitely watched this as a kid.
Yes.
Because this was in the same vein as the Goosebumps show, which I also obviously watched quite a bit because I love the books. But this was a slightly, and I'm not by a lot, but a slightly more grown up version of Goosebumps.
Yes. This was like 9:30 on Snick, I want to say.
Yeah.
It was like the final one, and I don't remember too many. Like, I don't remember watching any of these episodes really. I think maybe one, but the one that always stood out to me was like season 1, episode 2, the one with Zebo, the clown.
I remember the clown one, yeah.
And then there's one where the kid I want to say the kid gets locked in the mall, and
I think you're right.
keeps on coming to life and trying
Yeah.
to kill him. I think that's
what I remember the most is the opening theme thing.
Yeah.
It's so good. That theme is a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 theme, 10 out of 10 opening for a show like this. Perfectly done.
Well, what reminds me, so I think what makes Are You Afraid of the Dark so great is there is that scary element. So it's kind of like a Goosebumps, but it's also a Twilight Zone in a way.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's what got me into Twilight Zone. And
it is like a gateway for kids Twilight Zone.
Yes. Like that got me into Twilight Zone, and I still watch Twilight Zone every once in a while. And
there's some thing on the wing.
I finally had time. Some heavy hitters in the Twilight Zone too.
Oh yeah.
I lived in Binghamton, New York, where they celebrate. Oh, I can't think of his name, but he's from Binghamton, and they celebrate that man like it's like the greatest person on the face of the earth in Binghamton, New York.
Who is it?
The host and creator of the Twilight Zone.
Oh, what was his name? Andrew's doing us a favor looking this up real quick. Yes, I can't remember his name.
Submitted for your approval. Twilight Zone. So we're gonna
do Twilight Zone.
Yeah, top 10 in January. Rod Sterling.
That's it, Sterling. Yep.
Okay. Rod Sterling. They say he was born in Syracuse, but he lived in Binghamton, and they celebrate this man like there's no other thing going on.
But I'm such a hardcore basketball guy. When I hear Sterling, it's a completely different name for me.
His actually first name is Rodman.
Oh, nice. Great rebounder. The two then.
Yep. All right. So
remember the NWO and created one of the best shows on TV. All right. Are you afraid of the dark?
Yes. No.
Here we go.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of the dark, but I'm ready to get going. So number 10, according to IMDB.
Now let's also say all 10 of these episodes are like out of 10 on IMDB are rated 9 and up.
Yeah.
So they're all really highly regarded.
Is The Tale of the Dangerous Soup. So
also these have great names.
And I just realized I got auto-corrected on this one.
What's it say?
It's like tail, like an actual tail.
Oh, yeah.
But every other one is like a story tale.
Yeah.
So pretty much background in this one. Girl runs a restaurant. There's some turnover going on in the restaurant, but it's very, very popular. And it's only popular for the soup.
Right, yeah.
This boy comes in, he applies for like a job of just kind of like busser maintenance, just cleaning up type stuff. And they come to find out that you're going to hear this name again, the chef, Dr. Vec,
or Fink.
Oh yeah, Veek.
Yeah,
is using this talisman that makes you experience your greatest fear, and then it extracts that fear, and that is the secret ingredient of the soup.
Yes. My first note is any soup can be dangerous, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, you can fall into it. It could burn you.
It could burn you. Waiter, there's a fly in it. There's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
That could happen. Also, that soup looks incredibly gross. It's just green grossness.
Yes, it does look gross. And Nev Campbell is in this. And this
Yes.
is the part because when the kid comes in, she's like doing receipts and she's got to be what, maybe 18 at the most, probably playing like a 16-year-old, pretty
Yeah.
16, 18-year-old in this. She introduces herself as hostess and part-time bookkeeper. And I'm thinking to myself, you are damn young to be a bookkeeper. Like,
Yes. Well, she's only part time.
yeah, like, I'm sorry. But that's pretty much my note.
I'm
And
looking at all my notes, and they're all about how gross this soup is.
see, I'm
It's just my other notes are it's just green slime? Question mark.
But if it,
question mark. Pea soup looks better than this.
but if it's good, you're gonna eat it. No, like,
The only time I liked anything it was that green was those Ninja Turtle pies.
but you're gonna eat it though if it tastes good. And you can only have one bowl because remember the one guy was like,
the thing we're leaving out is this is in the 90s. Keep that in mind. Just one bowl of soup was $150.
oh yeah, that's what he could charge.
Yeah.
And just all you could have is just one bowl because obviously you got to distract fear. And that's why they find out about the high turnover is he locks them in like this room.
Yeah.
Then he extracts the fear and the people run away.
And I do think that this episode gives you a great idea of why this show is sort of become this cult beloved thing, and that it strikes a really good balance of having like this horror element to it, but also still having some fun in there, right? Like there's still an element of fun and goofiness in a way in this.
Yeah, there's an episode where I'm thinking the goofiness got a little bit too crazy, but I like
and that Fink character is very, very fun. I like him a lot. Thankfully, because he does.
He's also the voice of Cranky Kong. I looked him
up. Is he
up.
really?
Yeah, I knew that you would like.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah.
I definitely looked him up. What this episode I put down reminds me of is Scarecrow from Batman. So if you love that Scarecrow character from Batman,
yes,
exploits people's fears.
Yes,
I think you would kind of like this one as well, because at one point the talisman like flies away, which I don't and it gets loose and it's like, oh no, it can feed freely now.
Oh, by the way, the ending was pointless because they think they've conquered this fear, but in the end it really didn't matter.
Yeah. It was I liked it.
I enjoyed it. Also, we're giving each episode 2 grades.
Yes.
We're giving them how scary it was and the overall episode grade.
So I gave this overall.
Let's do scare grade first.
Oh, you want to do scare grade first? I gave it a 3 because messing with somebody's like deepest fear.
Oh, I actually gave it an actual grade. I didn't give it a number.
Oh, I gave it a number. I gave it numbers.
I think we're gonna be similar on that though.
Yeah.
Because I gave it a C as a scare grade.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is probably about a 3.
Yeah. I gave everything numbers because that way I can like point.
I can actually give mine a number too if I need to. You doing this out of 10 or out of 5?
I did it out of 5.
Okay, I would also give this a 3. Scare grade 3.
I don't think it was scary. I don't think it was like, what is this crap?
Yeah.
I think it was like right in the middle there where it was just a 3. It was scary enough because if you put yourself a little bit into that situation, messing with your fears is pretty horrible, especially because like that guy's greatest fear was like his uncle or something coming.
I thought it's either his uncle or his dad, some important figure in his life who was very demeaning to him. Yeah.
Yes.
Which was actually pretty deep because it wasn't just like I'm afraid of snakes thing, which I mean that was one of them, but
yeah. But that's why I gave it a 4 also, is because it's a higher level of fear. Like you can look down at a snake and be like, I'm not afraid of a snake. There is somebody or something greater out there that you could be afraid of.
Yeah. I also would give this a 4 or a B as I have for my letter grade. So we're on the same point here. This is a pretty good episode, I think.
See, once again, we did not discuss how we are grading. I was like,
but when I think grades, I think letters, and that's on me.
Well, they give you numbers now.
Yeah. I mean, I went to school and it was back in my day. It was letters.
Really? Even in high school?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, we got numbers.
No, we got letters, all kinds of letters. I mean, we got number like on a test You got a number, but you would know if it was an A or a B by that number, and then your report card it would be letters.
Oh, see, we got numbers all the way through.
Like I knew, like if I got a 92, it's a borderline B plus A minus type level.
I haven't gotten a letter grade. Well, in college I did, but
Well, let's give each other a grade right now on our co-hostness. What number would you give me?
I don't even know.
Andrew's an A plus in my book.
I haven't gotten a letter grade since elementary.
I just gave you one, A plus.
No,
You're an
I mean,
A+.
well, yeah.
This is what that matters.
Dude, A plus job on communication. But overall, I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I also give it a 4.
Yeah.
Very fun episode. Now this next one, Andrew, I got really excited about.
Star Power.
Like crazy. Yes. It's the tale of Ryan Gosling. I mean, it's the tale of Station 109.1.
Yes, this is the Ryan Gosling, and I was really upset that Screen Rant didn't put in Gilbert Godfrey. It's also in this episode.
I went back after I watched it, and I was like, how could they not mention that? Mentioned in the article that they do say Gilbert Godfrey, but in the actual, when you're just looking at the bold names of episodes, when they're listing them, they mention Ryan Gosling there, which I understand he's a big star and he's a great actor, but it's Gilbert freaking Godfrey for crying out loud.
Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah.
I'm in the same way. Like Ryan Gosling's okay. And nobody ever remembers that Ryan Gosling was an absolute defensive liability in Remember the Titans.
He was, you're right.
Also, the other thing I did too is we watched him on Paramount Plus, I put down the episode, season and episode that is on there, not what's in Wikipedia, because it's all different. So the Tale of the Dangerous Soup, if you want to go back and watch it and don't have to flip through everything, and you're on Paramount Plus, it is season 4, episode 5. The one that we're talking about now, the Tale of Station 109.1, is season 5, episode 7.
Yes. The gist of this one is there's this family. The kid, the youngest brother, is fascinated by the macabre of that type of stuff. He's very much into it. He finds this radio station at the end of the dial, and it just sticks to him. And he's like, I got to figure this out. He finds out where that's at, and he discovers that it's way more than a radio station, Andrew. It's where you go when you pass away.
Yes.
And there's a door there that decides your fate, basically, is the gist of it. And Gilbert Gottfried is kind of the guy who's at the radio station, who's sort of running it. And Ryan Gosling plays the older brother.
How freaked out were you when you heard Gilbert Gottfried talk in a normal voice?
It's all right, because he got back to Gilbert really quick. So it's all right.
But you left out Ryan Gosling, the older brother, locked his brother into a hearse.
Yeah.
That got this all going.
I did say my first note after Gilbert Gottfried, my first note is that younger brother is a bit much.
True.
He's a bit much into this.
So me being this pop culture mark and stuff like older technology, no digital tuners on the radio.
I know. I got really excited about that.
And also for dinner, here we go. This is where I got into this one. Who has shrimp, mashed potatoes, and carrot sticks for dinner? Because if you remember, when they're eating, he buries the shrimp and mashed potatoes.
He does
the cross with sticks, with carrot sticks, to put it on there. Who has that combination?
And also, again, that kid's a bit much.
Okay. Did he ask for that? Like, is that what?
Yeah, so he could do that. Yeah. He said, Mother, could you please add carrots to this? I would love to make little crosses.
I also like at the radio station, they call it for the dementially challenged.
Yes.
That got me as well.
One of the things that got me is when the younger brother is looking into this radio station. This is early to mid 90s. By the way, that internet was way too fast. Way too quick.
I think one of my kids were in the room and they were like staring at the website. Couldn't like comprehend what was going, like why it looked so blocky and everything else.
Yes, the website looked of the time. It looked fine, but it moved way too quick.
There was no modem.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't have like tons of free AOL disc laying around.
And the other thing too is when the brother finally, because the kid goes in there and he gets the slap bracelet. Great job with the props.
Yes, love that.
The slap bracelet with the number, because now all of a sudden he cannot be seen anymore because he is confused for the actual person that was in the hearse.
Yep.
I don't know how you not check your credentials, Gilbert, but you should have known the older guy died, not the younger kid.
Yes.
And at one point, they figure it out at the radio station, and the older brother sees the ghost,
Yes.
asking him to get him there. And the ghost drives.
I have his note too.
I was waiting for this the whole entire time. To
My
talk
note I have-
about this in the story.
I literally asked this question: did the ghost drive this car? Because they plainly show Ryan Gosling in the passenger seat.
Yes. That ghost was driving. It had to drive. So if it drove itself to that radio station,
Why did it need Ryan Gosling in the first place?
exactly. This was a very cool episode, probably up until that point. But I think the cool thing was when they threw the kid into the doors.
Yeah.
And then they spit him back out. And then the guy got put in, and they're like, oh my goodness, I don't want to go there, like implying that, hell is a horrible place. But then the guy that did die was like, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
If
it's
you
not
were a good
always bad.
person.
Yeah.
If you're a good person. So be a good person. There's a couple of these episodes with morals of the story.
I agree. Yeah. Pretty decent teaching moments. Gilbert was great in this.
Oh,
Some
he was
really this
awesome.
is like top tier Gilbert stuff here.
This is what you were talking about by the goofiness, but
Yes, but it worked.
It didn't take away
Right
from that story.
It actually enhanced it and helped make it more. Because I felt overall this was fairly creepy. I mean, if you just think about the aspect of the afterlife of a radio station at the end of the dial that you hear when you're dying or dead, there's a lot of creepiness here, and there's just like all these people waiting for their fate in the radio station. There's a lot of creepiness in this.
Give it the Beetlejuice vibe.
Yes. That's a good. It's not Beetlejuice at all, but it's got the feeling and vibe of Beetlejuice. Yes. Agreed completely.
Scary, I gave it like a 3 again.
Oh, really?
It's just okay scary.
I'm just gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. I am a giant wuss, so everybody know that going in. I gave this this is a 5 scare for me.
I gave it yeah.
Because I'm just thinking of like I said before, the creepiness factor in this I thought was pretty well done.
I've been watching a lot of like horror thriller stuff, so I think I'm getting more and more sense.
Oh, see, this is the scariest thing I've watched this year so far.
Oh, okay. We've gone on a Saw marathon, so.
Oh, yeah. See, I would never watch those movies. I have no time for that in my life.
Oh, they're so good as like a thriller. They're so good, and so
I don't have any interest in watching people get tortured as entertainment. It just doesn't do anything for me personally. But you do you, boo, as they say.
Last year I watched every single Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and they get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
I can count how many of those I've actually seen all the way through on one finger.
It was interesting to watch them to find out little nuances in the different things, and there's no coherency in the stories.
Yeah, none at all. What overall grade do you give the Tale of Station 109?
I probably would have given this a 4. I gave it a 3.5 because
of the car.
Because the ghost drove.
Okay, here's the thing. I really like this episode. This had everything going for me, that I decided to overlook that complete huge logic hole that's in this.
I cannot get it out of my head. Like,
I think for me, it added to how funny it was, how goofy it was.
but why did he just get in the car and drive himself?
I know,
He spent
I
that
know.
whole
You're
half
not
an
wrong.
hour episode going, asking people to take him somewhere, and then he gets in the car and drives.
Yeah. Which means also that he always knew where that station was at too in the first place. By the
So
way.
why are you torturing this kid?
Yeah.
You could have solved this problem a million times over.
But apparently he was a good guy, so it's okay. I gave
Obviously not. I question it now.
This is one of my favorite ones. I also gave this a 5. I really liked this episode quite a lot. I thought it was very fun, despite that huge hole in the story, which I definitely recognize. I just chose to let it go, like Elsa taught me before.
So next one we have here is The Tale of the Shiny Red Bike on Paramount Plus. This is season 3, episode 5. This is about a boy and his friend in the beginning. They're talking about fishing. They're like, yeah, I can't wait to go fishing. The boy's friend falls into like this river.
Like a river reservoir type thing. Yeah.
And then the bike gets swept too.
So what you're saying is, Andrew, this episode starts with a kid dying.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Why not? So the kid dies, and then it goes into the future, which I got things with. It goes into the future, and the kid is still haunted by his friend's death. Like I could have saved him. I keep on having dreams and everything else.
Which is pretty deep if you think about it. It's a deep concept.
It's very deep. It's very deep. Then he starts seeing the kid, and he's like calling to him. I think the kid that survived's name was Mike, and he's like, Mike, and he sees him at school. Nobody else sees him,
and they think he's going crazy.
Yes, they think he's going crazy.
The only one that's on his side is his little brother.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell the story, and then we'll get into like there's some logic holes or like
I don't know what you're talking about.
Changes in times in this one. So he gets like sent to the nurse. They take him to the doctors, and they're like, you just need to rest. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need to rest. You need to get over this crap, and you need to rest. So the boy keeps on coming and showing, and then they're big fishing people. So he's like, man, I've never missed opening day of fishing. I didn't know there was an opening day of fishing. I just thought you could fish all year long. But hey,
in your area, because we have to here, do you have to get like a fishing license?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we have that here.
Once you turn 16, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the boy finally, talks to him, and he's like, it's your brother. You got to get down to the reservoir because your brother, there's a good chance you got to save him. He's going to die. And it turns out this is such a dick move. I'm sorry, but I said it. So the little brother and his friends are at the river, and they're fishing. The little brother knocks over one of his friends' drink. Nothing comes out.
Obviously an accident.
Yeah. We're gonna focus on this one. So
I have notes on this part too. So
he knocks it over, and so the kid's like, hey. So he grabs the little brother's bobber and whips it into that reservoir where that kid died. And the little brother tries to go get his bobber. I don't know why. They're like $1 probably. And he gets his foot stuck. The brother comes in and saves him. After the ghost gives the older brother the bike to get to the reservoir.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the older brother saves him. He looks around, and the bike is like rusted out. It's not a shiny red bike anymore. And then all of a sudden they find that boy's body that died years ago, because they never did find it, and he saves the brother. That's pretty much this story.
Yeah. So the gist of it is he thought that he was being haunted when in fact the ghost still considered him like his best friend and was just actually trying to help him.
Yes.
To help his brother. Yeah. So my first question here, Andrew, is
Therapy, anyone?
There,
Therapy?
yeah.
Therapy? Why are we going to the nurse? I'm
Yes.
pretty sure if you got mental health, rest is nice, but there's other ways of looking at this.
This is very much like old person way to deal. Like just throw some dirt on it, you're fine, type of thing.
Oh my goodness.
When if you think about it, this kid's guilty because his best friend died in front of him when they were both kids.
And everybody's like, brush it off, dude.
Yeah,
Just
his
brush it off.
dad's like he's dead.
Yeah. I
Forgot about your life.
Yeah.
It's like, good God,
Like no sympathy at all. And
none.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a hard dude, but there's certain things where I'm like, I feel bad for you. Like,
Yeah.
this is sad. Like, he literally watched his best friend die, and then the family, school, and everything are like, get with the program, dude.
Yeah,
That was like,
get over it.
that was like 5 years ago. Let's concentrate on the now.
Yeah.
Get some rest.
Sure, it was an event that probably shaped your entire life.
I know you're having nightmares, but get some rest.
Yes. How important when you were growing up, because mine was quite important too, was a bicycle when you're a kid.
It's that's your first piece of freedom, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So
yeah, we're in the same boat there, or same bike there.
The title kind of threw me off because I was like, why are we watching this crap about a bike?
But then it made sense as it went on.
It did make sense. The other thing that I found funny is so there's a time lapse.
Yes.
So there's a change in time. People get older, fashions change, everything else. So there's a point where the father picks him up from school and he's like, I see so and so, he's over there. And the father chases them down. This kid gets off, and this person looks like they're wearing the same exact clothes as the kid that died. And it turns out to be a girl riding the bike. But why are you wearing the same exact clothes as somebody that died like 5 years ago?
Coincidence?
I don't know, but that I wrote, that I had down, and then that bobber thing, that was such just
let's talk about that. These are the worst friends ever. You're right. I think calling that one kid especially a dick is being kind.
My first thought was, what a dick move.
Completely. On top of that, let's just say that the brother didn't get there in time to save him.
Yeah. Literally,
that means that quote unquote friend murdered his friend.
Yeah. Not like I think his name is Mike, who tried to like almost save his friend. No.
Right. So Mike was legit trying to save his friend, and he just wasn't able to, right? And and he felt guilty. I have a feeling. Now, granted, in fairness, we spend less than a minute with this friend. We don't know him, but just based on what we see, I think he'd have zero guilt in any of this.
I think so too. And the one friend didn't even say anything to him when he threw the bobber, because there was friends and that brother.
Yeah.
He's not
the other friend just kept on fishing.
No. He was like, I'm just not dealing with this today. I'm gonna enjoy fishing.
Now,
and I'm just
also I'm doing this in fairness thing. But we've all been growing up, a part of a friend group. When two friends in that friend group are having issues with each other, a lot of times we'll be like, I just don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah. I can't blame him totally. To like throw his bobber, I would have been like, dude, did you really have to throw his bobber?
Yeah, and I also would have been like, dude, don't worry, don't go. I'll buy you one. Like you said, they can't be that expensive.
No. Now I got to look up how much a bobber is.
Yeah.
And
I will say, I used to go, when I was a kid, I went fishing with my dad all the time. We didn't always have bobbers. We just fished.
Yeah, you use sinkers.
Yeah.
Oh,
they can't be expensive. Even today, they can't be expensive.
You could get a whole bunch for like $10.
Yeah.
$2 a piece.
Yeah. Which back then would mean they were like, what, 50 cents to $1 for one?
Yeah.
Yeah, kid, it's fine. Let it go. Not worth it.
You could get a 160 piece set. I don't know how good it is with hooks and everything on Amazon right now for $16.
Yeah,
Canadian. Well, in their fairness, it's in Canada, so it's probably like $20. I'm messing around with my friends from the north.
I don't know what that's about. Okay.
Three.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, scare grade. What would you give the scare grade on this?
I gave it like a 2.
I
didn't
agree.
think
Also, too, for
it
me.
was more of a thriller than anything
Yes,
else.
I thought this was way more about. It wasn't scary to me. It was way more about the guilt that this kid felt than anything else.
Yeah.
And it actually was, despite that one complete dickhead in this thing. I th-
Story.
I really liked this episode overall. I thought it was a good story. Just if you think about it, I mean, he feels like he's being haunted because he couldn't help his
Mhm.
best friend, but in fact, that best friend never blamed him, and in fact, was actually trying to help him the whole time. So I really like that little twist there. I really enjoyed this one, Andrew. What did you give the episode grade here?
Gave it a 4.
This is a 5 for me. I just like the story overall in this.
I'm glad I gave a lot of these like 4 point, like where they were at. But
Yeah.
I gave this one a 4.
All right, what's next?
Tale of the Midnight Madness episode. So season 2, episode 9 on Paramount Plus. This is another Dr. Vink story. Pretty much there's this old movie theater. Looks like probably a one screener. It's about to get shut down because, like, as always, the 80s or 90s, the multiplex comes in and steals all your stuff.
Yep.
So Dr. Vink shows up and he says, "Let me show this movie. I don't want anything from you. I just want to be able to show my movies if you start turning a profit."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay, can do it." And it's an old, the old Nosferatu, can't even talk.
Yeah, basically it's I don't
Dracula.
want to rattle them up, but it's Dracula. It's
Yeah.
Dracula. What? I don't look like that. Sorry, buddy.
Is he the Bela Lugosi Dracula, not this Nosferatu one?
He's the one from Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense for this show. But so they show it and everybody loves it, and they start making money doing the hand over fist thing, and money hand over fist. Business is good, baby. And every time I talk about money and for things, I gotta think of like wrestling territories.
Yeah.
And so they decide that I think they're like gonna watch it, and then all of a sudden Nosferatu comes out. All
Of the movie, like of the movie becomes real. Yeah.
Yes. And he starts chasing them around and doing all that stuff. So the kid figures he's gonna get into the movie and take out Nosferatu that way, which he does. And then Dr. Vink shows up because Dr. Vink's mad that they're not going to show his movies because they're making money, and they're like, "We don't need you anymore."
Yeah.
And so once the boy kills Nosferatu, ends the movie, Dr. Vink shows up and he's like, "Are you going to show my movies?" And they're like, "No, we're not going to do that." And then all of a sudden it comes out that Dr. Vink has bought the movie theater. So now his movies will be shown. And his movies are like this Nosferatu, where they come alive.
Yes. A really fun trope is when the thing from the television comes out of the television. All right.
Can I tell you what this reminded me of?
Yes, please.
Last Action Hero. Old movie theater.
Yes.
All we
Love
needed-
this. You're right. Yes.
All we needed was Mickey Rooney. Last note that I made was,
Or sidekicks. I would also accept sidekicks here. That's
Yeah.
the Chuck Norris one.
that's the first thing that came to mind, was kind of like a golden ticket type thing. You jump into the movie,
Yeah.
you do that. And the special effects, the way that he pushes through the movie screen,
Was
that,
really
like, the kid
was done well.
It would really done well.
Yeah. Now, a lot of times on this show, as we'll even see on future episodes, you can tell this is very early CG days.
Yes. Yeah. But
Like, it's a little crude at times, but this looked pretty good.
I thought
my
it was
first big note is at the beginning where they're kind of showing how bad this place is doing. There's no way they're making payroll. There is no way. They
No.
made $6.
good. And they're reusing stuff.
Yes, they made $6.
Well, maybe it's
And
like
they have 3 employees. There's no way they're getting paid. off of $6.
And I love it how, I forgot, at one point to raise awareness and to make it into a landmark, the kid's like passing out flyers and
Yeah,
everything.
he's trying really hard. Yeah.
And the girl, he's trying to, once again, everything pretty much in these, if there's a girl involved, they're trying to get with the girl.
There's always they always try to add a little touch of romance because when you're a teenager, that is what you're thinking about. So I get it. But I mean, these are like 25-minute episodes. You're not really going to get much on that front. But you get it because, we were all teenagers once. Oh man. I thought this was fun.
I thought it was too.
I like that Vink character pretty much. I think he's really a very fun, goofy sort of adversary who can kind of keep showing up from time to time.
I wonder how many more episodes he's actually in.
That's a good question. I was wondering that myself.
We should do.
And also in this top 10, there's a lot of vampires. I'm just going to go ahead and let everybody know.
Yeah, I'm a vampire guy, but this got a little annoying.
Yeah. Oh, you are?
He's in a lot of them.
How many? Dracula, this is not your show.
Oh, it just listed. He's in another one too. He's also in the Tale of the Phantom Cab as Dr. Vink. That's the very first one. So he's from day one.
That's what I'm talking about.
So Bobcat Goldthwait's in one.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm Bobcat Goldthwait, Gilbert Godfrey mark right here. But so this one's scary. I gave this one about a 3. I think it's about as scary as the other ones. The fact that you have this being chasing you.
Yeah.
It's
now I do think the makeup of the stuff for I can't say it either. Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah,
I did. And he is creepy looking, but I agree with you. This is a 3 at most on the scare grade.
Yeah. Grade overall, I gave it like a 3.5. It was a good one.
I'm gonna agree. I actually put a B-, which I would say probably 3.5. Yeah. So I'm gonna agree here. It's still a fun episode though. It's really fun. This was way more fun than it is scary or anything like that.
This is probably the first fun episode out of the ones that we did. Like all the other ones were kind of a little bit thrilling, a little scary.
Some are a little bit deeper than you're expecting going in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's fun and kind of and a little bit of suspenseful.
Yeah. I'm just glad we don't have to worry about vampires anymore going on. What's the next episode called?
Oh, what do you know? Tale of Vampire Town. This was the free one on YouTube.
Yes, this is the one. It's not on Paramount. You have to go to YouTube to find this one, but the full episode's there.
Gotta go to YouTube. You know what? I'm probably showing my cards on this one. Can you explain this one, because I got a lot to unpack on this one.
Okay, again, we have a kid who's a bit much.
Yeah,
just say
way too much.
He's on his way to being one of the goth kids. Best way to describe him, I think.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not knocking that at all. Just by the ways. When I was in high school, I had friends from many different groups, including some goth friends, and they were awesome. So I'm not knocking that at all. But he's very much into it, especially considering he's like 11 or 12. Maybe probably 13, 12, 13, somewhere around
12,
there.
13.
Yeah. All right. So he's with his parents. They're going on vacation. I will also go ahead and say these are really good parents.
Yeah, because they let him choose.
They let him choose.
This is where I got a lot to unpack.
They're going out of their way to try to understand him. These are great parents, honestly. This kid, and I'm glad at the end, spoiler alert, he does know that. So.
The father gave up going to a football game where I guess they had field passes.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, did he though? Did he at the end?
Yeah.
At the end. But he was willing to do that.
He was willing
to
do it. And I mean,
so they go to this town that's basically, we'll get into it. They go into this town that's basically quote unquote known for vampires. The episode opens up with a vampire attack,
Yeah.
in a morgue. That was really, I liked how that was done.
That
That was really fun, where the body sits up like it's Kane from WWE.
this one. It starts good.
It starts very good. Basically, there are catacombs underneath this hotel that they're staying at
with like a ancient vampire.
Yeah, and this kid thinks he's a vampire hunter, and that's the gist of it. It ends with he kills the vampire, or so he thinks, and when you see him again, he's no longer in the dark garb. He looks like just a normal kid for what it's worth, and his parents are really shocked by this, and he's like, "Hey, can we go to the game? I'm kind of done with this vampire stuff."
Yeah, because he pretty much brought that vampire back to life too, because he pulled the stake out of its heart.
And then he goes into it because I can't remember if it ends with him about to get bit, or is that how it ends, right?
Yeah,
he goes back in. That's when he discovers that other guy was actually a vampire.
Yeah, because there's two guys. This one was more than a comedy that I felt like anything else.
Yeah, it was almost because you have those two guys, the two older guys, and they're kind of bumbling type of characters.
The fat guy got stuck, couldn't get through the wall that the kid slipped through. Kind of like one of those type things. So this wasn't anything. I felt anything suspenseful. I pretty much figured it out within the first 2 minutes when the keeper was like, "Oh, we keep the curtains closed because of the antiques." And things like that. It was just like, oh, let me guess, you're gonna be a vampire.
Yeah,
that
was my first thought too. Was that guy's was a vampire?
As you can tell, I hated this episode. I thought it was horrible. I didn't find anything suspenseful for it. The kid brought that vampire back to life because of his stupid move by removing the stake, because he wanted to throw the stake at the two guys that thought he was a vampire. All of a sudden he shows up with brand new clothes. Where did he get the clothes? Did he always pack those? Because
they were in the catacombs.
Yeah.
He saw those bodies. He just took some off of there, washed them, good to go.
There's just so much wrong with this episode that it's not I just did not like this at all.
You're not wrong. The only thing that I will say that actually redeems it for me, and I already kind of said this, but this is a great story from the aspect of how far and how much these parents actually care about their son. They really do care. They go well out of their way to try to be accommodating and to try to understand this kid. And from that aspect, I really like that part of it.
That was good, but
he's a bit much.
Overall story, like we've talked about a couple already that where the story is just so good and draws you into it, or it's a little bit of great story that draws you into it.
The story here is weak. It's pretty weak.
Fun, but this one,
I don't know how this one got rated so high.
I don't know either.
Because even though other ones before, this is the worst of the ones that we've talked about so far.
This is my lowest rating.
Yeah, this is a 1 for me.
I got a 1 on both levels because
scare rate's also a 1. Yeah. The only thing that keeps it from a 0 for me again is those parents.
So I go by the old adage. I have this thing where I like to read reviews because I feel like some people over exaggerate on reviews sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But this is the first time where I believe in the statement is, if I could give it a 0, I would. But I wanted to give it something, but this is 1. This is the weakest on that list.
Yes.
And
yeah, I mean,
I'm glad it was free.
And the only other positive is at least the fat guy's not eating all the time.
Yeah, but it was just too many, like, I felt like,
and as a fellow fat guy, I'm glad to be represented on screen.
I thought it was like just a trope. Like it was like the skinny guy, the fat guy chasing.
Yeah, it's like a Laurel and Hardy type of thing.
Yeah, Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello.
Abbott Costello.
All we needed was some Benny Hill music at some point with the doing all that stuff, but it's not. I didn't think it was good.
All right, well, what's next?
This one I did buy. This is The Tale of C7.
This is all Andrew. This is one of the ones that I did not get to see.
Okay, so this one going into it, I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm committing myself to my craft. And I'm saying that with sarcasm. Uh so it's about this family, single mother. There is a son and a daughter. They buy this old like house out on the river, and they start seeing people and everything else. Oh, also the daughter doesn't know how to swim. So the boy starts seeing people and starts seeing like ghosts around of like this girl. Sorry. Been hanging out with Johnny for too long. And, and so he starts seeing this, and they discover an old like jukebox, like so old that it plays records. And they plug it in, they try and get it to work, and the boy all of a sudden fixes it just out of nowhere. And he notices he's going to go and test it out. He notices that C7's not working. It's not working at all. So he switches it and he goes back. And then you learn of a story of behind like what's going on in the house, that the house is haunted. And you learn of a story that there was a soldier coming back home from the time period, I'm guessing World War II, and the way that he was portrayed in his uniform, World War II. And they were having a big homecoming party for him at this house. But they got a telegram saying he never came back, that he wasn't going to be coming back home. And the girlfriend lived across the river. And on that night, also, there was a storm and she died. And they wrote in a letter that they were going to dance one last time to the song on C7. So the boy finally gets it to work because like this girl is appearing in a canoe, and then the daughter keeps on trying to save it. The boy finally gets it to work, and they meet up together in the afterlife. And then they kind of are able to finally rest in peace.
This is a great sounding story.
It's
leaps and bounds better than that one we just talked about.
I gave it a 4.5. It scary? No. This was just one of those episodes where it was just purely great story.
Yeah.
That's all I put down was under where I had scary. I said not just a great story. It's just a great story about two people that don't want to give up on each other.
Yeah.
And that guy was going to do what he meant. And that girl's just looking for a long lost love.
Yeah. I like it.
4.5.
All right. What's the next one?
Another. They all are way better than the other. The Tale of Vampire Town. Next one is Tale of the Vacant Lot. This was season 5, episode 15. If you're going to check it out on Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah, real quick. I forgot to rant about this earlier, but this episode was one of the ones where I had to exit Paramount Plus and go back into Paramount Plus because it was glitching on my Xbox, and it does that a lot. The Paramount Plus app is awful on the Xbox. Fix it, please. I beg you.
Oh,
because you have a lot of stuff on there that I want to watch, so fix it, please. It would say I would click on the episode to play it, but then it would just play the episode right after it. It wouldn't play that one until I went out. Eventually, it did work, so I did get to watch it. But
Peacock did that on my Fire TV to the point where, and then also the dubbing would get thrown off.
Huh.
So I
I know what you're talking about.
I listened like I'll have my TV's right next to me, so I'll do editing or whatever, and I'll have the TV on, so I don't notice it right away. And then all of a sudden I turn around and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this part for a little bit, and then it's like watching an old school Godzilla movie.
Yes, yeah.
Mouths move, and then all of a sudden words start happening, and then the mouth is shut, but there's still words. Okay.
Basically, this is the Tale of the Vacant Lot. Is this girl feels like she's just average, and she just wants more. She wants to stand out more. There's a boy she likes. There's friends groups she wants to be a part of. She wants to make the track team. All these things, and all of a sudden, a mysterious shop, and I'm using that term loosely because it's not even a building, shop pops up with a mysterious woman who you never see her face until it's too late. And this girl's like, okay, I'll go along with it.
Yeah. Well, you're young.
No, I
think that's the.
This is one with a moral in it, though.
Yeah, there's a huge moral.
Yeah, which I do appreciate. So, Yeah. The one thing I wanted to talk about is when we're with the Midnight Society at the beginning, they're all told to bring something valuable. Some of those things are ridiculously valuable and expensive.
Yeah.
And
They
if
went
you're,
overboard.
there's no way you're bringing that stuff out of the house in the first place to a campfire with a bunch of other kids.
The air, I can't even talk.
This is the same as playing with a baseball signed by the Great Bambino.
Yeah. Was it Edgar Allan Poe's book from like 1800? They said,
Yeah. Who was the baseball card? It was an old baseball
Hank,
card.
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron's
I'm
baseball.
like,
card.
oh crap.
Yeah. It was ridiculous, some of this stuff.
I think the best part was the girl with the snow globe.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And she just said that there's different types of value. And that's what leads us into this story.
Yeah.
Or tale. Sorry.
There's a lot here that there is to like. So she wants to make the track team, and that's when she first runs into that shop, that lady with the shop, and she gives her shoes, right? And she's like, I'll ask, I just want something that you don't care about in return.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So what she keeps
She
saying.
wanted the
She wanted the ring, which that girl said her grandmother gave her, so it means a lot to her, type of thing. So she wouldn't give the ring up yet. So that kind of keeps coming back and coming back. But one of the things I was going to say is there's a point pretty early in where after she's gotten the shoes and she makes the track team, you can tell that it's starting to change her. She's becoming kind of mean toward people and lashing out at them when she wasn't doing that before. And then she needs an outfit, right? She's got to have an outfit. And my question here is, and again, I'm obviously no fashion guy, but Andrew, was that really a nice looking outfit?
I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't think it was. It was just a purple cloth.
I don't know.
I just kept looking at it like, what's this? Because every character that sees it is like, wow, that's incredible. It's the most amazing.
I think it's just one of those believable things.
That's like I was like, I don't know what's happening.
I like how the sneakers were just Asics. And they were like, we could use these because nobody knows what the logo is back then.
Also,
Asics.
Whenever that the shop lady shows up, she has a sound effect, and it sounds like a toilet flushing to me. And one time she shows up in the bathroom, and it really threw me off.
I forgot about that. I would have liked to, they never explained her backstory like 100%. Like I would have a little miniature story, but
this is a great moral of realizing that being you is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, because she starts like stealing her beauty.
Yeah.
And then
the gist of it is the shopkeeper was basically her when she was her age and ended up where she was because of that. And the only way she could not do that is to trick another girl into becoming her so she can get out of it.
Because also the other part too is the little sister starts doing it.
Yeah.
And she goes to the shopkeeper and she's like, I'll give you whatever you want. Just don't do anything with my little sister. Leave her alone. And she offers the ring.
Which was the big deal because that ring actually does mean a lot.
And the ring meant a lot. And it was, I felt like
an actual sacrifice.
The sacrifice. If you watch anything, once you sacrifice yourself for the greater good, you end up surviving. Spock.
Yeah. Spock's a great example.
Optimus Prime. There you go.
Another great example. Yeah. It's really, it was actually pretty moving at the end.
Yes.
That even though you can see it coming, really, but I still really like that part of it. And then of course it still kind of works out for her, but that woman, the shopkeeper lady, she showed that she was still actually pretty greedy in a way, and she just wanted out of her deal, and she was going to trick that girl any way she could. And ended up being her undoing in a way.
Yeah. So the shopkeeper reminded me of the merchant for Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
Everybody's never played Resident Evil 4. Also in my notes, I put the $1 Million Man because everybody's got a price.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
All right.
also just be happy who you are.
Yeah. What's your scare grade for this?
I gave it a 4 because as if you kind of put yourself in this situation, that is a little freaky that all of a sudden you're just getting all this stuff stripped away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden somebody that you love has got to go through this same thing and you don't want that because you know what the outcome is going to be. So
Yeah.
I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 3.5. I agree with you. I really like that, but what I really liked was the actual story to this.
Yeah.
The story I thought was really good. I give the story a 4.5.
That's what I gave it.
Okay.
So there you go. Next one is Tale of the Dead Man's Float, season 5, episode 5. Oh, geez. Okay. So this one starts off with a little boy gets into a pool, and I guess it's his sister and the boyfriend who's the lifeguard. They're in the other room. All of a sudden, something pulls down the boy, and that's pretty much the end. And it starts in 1954.
A lot of kids drown in this show. We noticed that. A lot of drowning, a lot of vampires.
It's easy. It's cheap scares.
Yeah.
So fast forward to there's this boy Zeke. Now we're in like the 90s. So what, 40 years later? Because I still think the 90s. I still think
Was-
90s are only like 10 years away.
Yeah.
10
same.
years 10 years past. But so we're in the 90s, and you see this boy. He's kind of like the dork. He's into, a lot more into school than anything else. So he likes this girl, and he says, which is weird because her name is Clarice. So I kept on
And she-
hearing that in my head. Hello, Clarice.
and she's on the swim team.
Yeah, she's on the swim team. So he's like, I want to show you something. And she's like, well, just tell me, back and forth, that stupid stuff. So finally shows her, and it's this door to the pool. It just says to pool. And she's like, dude, we don't have to drive an hour to swim anymore if there's a pool right here. They open it. It looks like crap. And then all of a sudden they talk about how weeks later, the pool is back open. And there's a janitor. There's a janitor. We're going to go into this part. He's an important part. His name is Charlie, because also the lifeguard in the beginning name was Charlie. Let's just put 2 and 2 together there. So everything seems to be going great. Swim team swimming, everything else.
Swim team be swimming.
So all of a sudden you see a couple of scenes where there's something weird happening, where it seems like there's something underwater, but it just misses the people in the swim team. So later on, it's what Charlie and Clarice. They make a deal because Clarice is, I gotta say it that way,
Yeah.
is failing chemistry. So Zeke's gonna help her pass it, and then she's gonna teach him how to swim. And they decide that they're gonna make a raft. I don't know. Did your school have a raft for the pool?
That's one
No.
of my big notes here is who takes a raft to a pool? Like it's not just a float. Let's
No.
get this straight. It's an actual raft.
Yes, there are
Like
holes.
the
That's
one
for
that
porn.
Indiana Jones jumped out of that plane with, that size of a raft.
So they're in there, and then all of a sudden something attacks them again. And then they realize, they're like, oh, it smells like rotten eggs when it's about to. Or first, then they meet up with Charlie, because I think Charlie saves them, the janitor, and he tells them the story about the pool and the kid that died, and that it was built over a burial ground.
Because
They
of course
didn't
it
get-
was.
Yeah, but they didn't get all the bodies out. So then they're like, oh, it smells like
Yeah, they
rotten.
let him hit the floor.
They're like, oh, it smells like rotten eggs. And Zeke's like, oh, well, if you pour this on it, we'd be able to see it. So they pour this stuff into the pool, and then all of a sudden you can see it. And they try and like hit it, but it's made of water. Go
Yeah.
figure. So they're like, oh, I do like the safety things in this. So they figure out how to get rid of it. And it's some chemical that mixes with water that's going to get rid of it. So the girl is about to throw it on there, and Zeke knocks it out of her hand and is like, hey, you can't do that. Your hands are wet.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure you're wearing gloves. But yet she throws the whole thing into the pool with the
Yeah.
lid on. And then she goes in there and she gets it. But before she throws it on him, she makes sure she walks over and puts on the gloves and the safety goggles to throw it onto this monster to kill it.
But she freezes when the monster shows up.
Yeah.
And Charlie, what's the kid's name again? Zeke jumps in to save her, that's why they did all that, just to show that he would do that because he likes her. But he literally jumps right in next to the ghost, just FYI. Like that ghost could have just stretched his arm out and would have totally got the kid. And saves the day, and they end up getting rid of the ghost.
And they become boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah. My first note here is with the Midnight Society, this is an introduction of Stig, I guess, because that's what it kind of showed.
Yeah.
And
This is the bagged episode that we were talking about.
Yeah, he showed up in a bag over his head. And that one girl obviously has a problem with him, does not like him, and he kisses her on the cheek, which was weird to me. Didn't care for that. She definitely did not consent.
Can't do that, bro.
Yeah, didn't like that at all. All right, so here's one of the other notes. All right, when he's like, "Hey, I want to show you something," he's going to show her the pool, right?
Yeah.
They first go into the boys' locker room, and she goes, "The boys' locker room? I've seen this before." And my note is, she's seen the boys' locker room before.
Maybe a tour. I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is in my high school, during gym, I never once saw the girls' locker room. And your boy would have loved to. I'm not going to lie. Act like I'm above it. But yeah. Also, one thing I will say is this ghost looked great. This water ghost looked awesome. He reminded me of a live action Scooby-Doo ghost in a way.
The perfectly, because it turned it like orange. The chemical made it like orange and everything else. So my notes are, you like to talk about the locker room. How did nobody notice this pool? And a kid died in this pool, and yet nobody in this town knows about this pool
and it's a giant pool, by the way. It's not small, it's humongous.
It's an Olympic sized pool. It's got to be up there. And
it's big enough for a raft, Andrew.
And while they were building, like, got to rebuild it and get all this stuff going, and they said it only took weeks. So it only took weeks to clean up 40 years of damage.
No, I just from experience, I know this is true because I played Power Wash Simulator on my Xbox, and you can do it pretty fast.
That's a good game.
It's really fun.
Jacoby has that. The little kid that lives down the hall from me.
Yeah.
All
right. I will also, my other note real quick is, this is just a personal thing for me. I do not like water that goes over my head. It's just not for me. So this kind of added it to me. So this is a personal scare for me. But go ahead.
But the pool thing, like, that Charlie guy didn't say anything. Like, while they were doing it, like, hey, don't do it. Like, if you watch any type of horror movie, there's always that old guy that warns the people.
Yeah.
Don't.
He doesn't show up until afterwards, so they've already found it and everything. Yeah. I'm with you.
He doesn't say a word.
It would have taken like 5 seconds just to have him show up and say, "Hey, don't go in there."
And how do you not notice a whole section of the building? Like,
don't go down that road there.
Added on. I don't. There's just so many. This to me honestly is worse than the ghost driving the car. This episode
it's not. That's going too far. The ghost driving the car is so much worse. The whole
thing is you're missing out on so many great, like, horror tropes. Like I said, the old guy warning the people.
It definitely should have had that. Yeah, definitely should have had that.
Is the biggest horror trope in the world, and yet there isn't. Come on, Pet Cemetery. That's all I kept thinking in my head. You shouldn't go there. You shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't do that there. Yeah.
But with that being said, I did give it a 4 for the scare because the ghost was good.
Yeah, agreed.
And
I'm also going to give it a 4.5. Again, I don't like water that goes over my head. I'm not I can swim. I'm not a good swimmer, so I don't care for it. And I always have this thing of, especially in North Carolina, when you're swimming in a lake, you do not see the bottom of the lake.
Oh no. Yeah, I gave it a 4. Overall grade 3.5 because you missed it. If they would have had that trope it probably would have been a 4.5. Because you
I
missed out
you're
on
not wrong. You're not wrong.
biggest thing that you could do.
I gave it a 4. I like that ghost a lot, and you're not wrong in your complaints. But I will say, out of all the combos of the two random kids put together, I felt that these two actually had a little bit of chemistry, and I mean that pun completely. But they actually, you know what I mean? Like they actually seemed like they played off each other very well.
It seemed like they actually played the roles like the way that they are.
Yeah.
Hello,
So
Clarice.
that helped a lot for me.
Hello, Clarice. So this is the next one is the tale of the night shift. If you're watching it on Paramount, season 5, episode 17.
Yeah, the gist of this one is it's a hospital. It's the night shift at a hospital. And there's a lot of creeping. Well, that's just creepy in the first place, right?
Yeah.
The hospital at night, of course. And there's a lot of weirdness going on here. And there's a vampire. I mean, I've literally told you what the episode is right there.
It pretty much is that.
Yeah. I will say the first reveal of the vampire is done really well. I was not expecting it and also expecting it, but I still jumped a little bit because you follow this. They make this one poor kid because he had signed for something when he wasn't supposed to, and he had to go find it because it was missing. And it goes down into the basement of the hospital where like the furnace, where the furnace is, and he hears something and he slowly walks around the corner. And this is shot really well. Because that face of that vampire kind of comes out of nowhere, and that part's done very well. But the gist of it is,
it was like a girl.
Yeah, yes. The gist of this is, he sees a girl and she says, "Come here," and he follows her back there. And when he gets to around the corner, that monster's revealed, the vampire's revealed. Yeah. This story basically follows the main nurse girl. She's going to school during the day, so she has to work the night shift.
I got it.
How old is she?
She's a candy striper.
I've heard that term, but I can't tell you what it means.
So candy striper is like, I don't think they do it anymore. Back in the day, if you wanted to become like a nurse or help volunteer at a hospital, you could do that and you could be like underage. But obviously they don't do it today.
Yeah.
Like
almost like sort of like an intern in a way is what you're saying. Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you wear like that striped outfit or like
yes. Yeah.
And they call you candy striper. My what is she? My stepmom. My memory's so bad. My memory's so bad. So this is another famous person in here. If you've ever watched Don't Mess with the Zohan or Entourage.
What a great couple of credits.
Is the girl plays the girl in here. If you ever watch Entourage, Stallone is the girl in this. So yeah, I know. They kind of one of these things are not like the other.
So this other kid that she knows is there because he's getting his tonsils out, and he's a bit pushy.
Very pushy.
She said no multiple times. If you boil this thing down to a moral, it's that just keep pushing it, she'll eventually say yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which, if you listen to a lot of old people, that's how your grandparents got together.
This dude is off the wall.
You not heard that? Like, I hear so many stories of like old people, and are like the old grandma be like, at first I didn't want to be with him, but he just wouldn't leave me alone. I was like, you know what? And now we've been married for 50 years.
You know what? How I got my wife? I gave her the George Costanza.
I don't watch that show.
Oh yeah, you don't watch Seinfeld. So there's an episode of Seinfeld where George is like, I'm just gonna stop caring.
Yeah.
Don't care. And he walks up to this girl and he's like, here's my number. My name is George. If you call me, call me. If you don't, no big deal. So me being the Seinfeld pop culture nerd that I am, like, I'm gonna do this. And holy shit. sorry for my language on this, but she called me, and we've been married for 17 years. So just don't care, kids,
Yeah, and she thinks I'm great. So
because you're scheduling.
don't say that
And
part.
she thinks Jokic is the worst basketball player in the world.
Yeah. Don't say that part. You're going to throw off her judgment of both me and Jokic and you.
Yeah.
I thought this was a fairly creepy episode, though.
I thought it was too. I liked the shape shifting vampire because you never
Yeah.
knew who was the vampire.
Right.
Way different than Vampire Town.
That kid in the wheelchair screamed too loud for me, though. He's a bit loud.
Yeah, I like the fact that the kid that had to go look for the water pump when he was bitten, he didn't turn all the way, so he was kind of
Yeah.
helping him, but he wasn't like a human. He was kind of like he was pretty decent of an actor for Are You Afraid of the Dark episode.
I
Like, you
agree.
could see
Felix. Felix
Yeah.
was his name.
Felix, you could see him like fighting it, and he would kind of like crawl around.
Oh, but though, by the way, when they're all three together and the vampire shows up, they just leave Felix in the dust. They just take off and leave him. Say, screw this guy.
Already. I liked it. At first, I was like, I don't know about this one, but as I got into it, I was like, this isn't.
This one actually got better as it went, I
Yeah.
felt.
And then they end up burning the coffin because they find out the coffin is what Felix signed for when Felix wasn't supposed to
Yeah.
sign anything. So Felix kind of screwed up. At first, in the beginning, I was like, why is that guy yelling at Felix? And
Yeah.
I realized, you know what, Felix, you just let a vampire into this whole house.
But he does come through at the end, though,
Yeah, he does.
and helps.
My things were, like I said, why is there a candy striper at a night shift?
Yes.
I didn't think you would let a kid do that.
Right.
Also, like I said, I really like the shape shifting vampire. I think that was a cool aspect.
Yeah. Really well done. And this atmosphere got spookier and spookier as it should. So I like that aspect of it. This was a fairly strong episode, I felt.
I gave it scary. I gave it a 4 because
I also same.
gave it. I thought it was very suspenseful, like scary, like in a way because you didn't know quite where the vampire was. You had an idea, but you always didn't know. And a grade of 4.
Same. My scare and episode grade are both a 4 for me. This is also one of those episodes when they finally destroy the vampire that it shows that it's a mid-90s CG stuff. I will say. Yeah. But you just accept it. That's fine. So
it gotta look at the story. If we would have graded the special effects, there would have been some
yeah.
some
Pretty rough. Yeah.
So
all right, what's the last one?
the last one is The Tale of the Dream Girl. And I bought this one on YouTube. So this one takes place in a bowling alley. There's a brother and a sister. The brother does maintenance. The sister is like a waitress, and they're talking and everything. Everything seems kind of like cool and everything else. And so they're just sitting there, they're talking, and all of a sudden there's one point where the girl's behind the counter. And she gives the brother a drink because the brother's complaining that he doesn't get any recognition. Like, nobody, I keep this place up and running, I don't get any recognition because the manager, owner, whatever, the bowling alley's like, this is great. Everything's running smoothly. I don't have to hire another maintenance guy. Everything is wonderful. And the brother's like, I can't keep on doing this. Things like, I'm doing all this and nobody even notices anything. Oh, I forgot to mention, before all this, he finds a ring in his locker and he puts it on. It's like a girl's ring. So as they're going through and he's talking, but the part holy shit. So the sister gives the brother a drink, but there's no damn ice in it. It's like a Coke and there's no ice in it. All right. That drove me nuts. All right. But
is it a fountain drink?
Yes. Like,
yeah, you gotta have ice.
It's in a glass.
You gotta have ice in a fountain drink. Yeah.
No, it isn't just like dumping it. No, it was. I love it how you're not like, Andrew, get over yourself. You're like, was it a fountain drink?
Yeah, see, that changes it for me. Fountain drinks have to have ice.
Let's get the whole picture. All right. So he starts he tells his sister that he starts seeing like this girl, like a ghostly figure. And in his dreams, And all of a sudden there's a girl that kind of looks like that figure in the dreams. And he's like, I'm gonna go talk to her. The sister's like, don't go do that. Don't go do that. And she's supposed to be like the stuck up, like stoddy, popular girl. So he stands behind her and he's trying to talk to her. And then the girl goes, to her friends, like, do you hear somebody talking to me? And they're like, no, I don't hear anybody talk to you. I don't know who that could be. So the brother's feeling down. Like he's like, I just feel like nobody can see me. So finally, the sister shows him this newspaper article of the girl that he's seen, and she died in a car accident. Okay. And so they're like, well, I'm gonna go find their gravesite. So they go to the cemetery, which is horribly done, but it is what it is. And the boy goes right to the girl's grave. Like he doesn't have any memory of this girl or anything, but yeah, he knows right where her grave is. So the sister's talking, and the sister's like, you knew where this grave was. You know her. And he's like, no, I don't know her. And he's like, she's like, yes, you do. You know her. And he's like, how else would you know where her grave was? You've been here before. Oh, I forgot the other part too, where the ghost girl invites him to the bowling alley at night, and there's like all these like 50s people. So it's like a bunch of other ghosts. And she keeps on saying, you need to come with me. I forgot about that part. But so fast forward to the grave, and she's like, you've been here. And all of a sudden, the sister unfolds the other side of the article, and it's a picture of the brother. He was the boyfriend in the car accident with the girl that died. That was his girlfriend. Yeah.
That's a great reveal.
Oh, but it blew my mind.
That's an M. Night Shyamalan level of awesome.
Dude,
reveal.
it just blew my mind, because here you are, and it reveals that he's dead and he just didn't realize it. And the only person that could see him was the sister, like some Sixth Sense stuff.
Yeah.
And the only person that could see him was the sister. But the sister didn't want to say anything, because there's another point in here where it's kind of like you can't really tell. Like the mother just seems kind of like sad and worn out, and she's like, I'm going to bed. I think it's time for you guys to go to bed. And the sister goes to bed, and the brother's like, I think I'm just going to stay up and watch TV. But the mother doesn't, like, she's more or less, it seems like she's just acknowledging both of them.
Yeah, but she's not actually interacting with the brother.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So that's the way it kind of goes out through this whole entire thing. So they find out that they died together, and she's trying to get him to come back, and that was her ring. And that was,
all right. See, I understand why you like this one so much. I would have loved to have seen this one.
Yeah, like this was worth the $1.99. I'm not.
I get why this one is like the top rated one.
I at first like watching, I'm like, oh, what is this? Some stupid haunting thing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this girl is gonna haunt him. Is this another shiny red bike thing where the girl's gonna warn him, or
yeah,
it's something from the past and he falls in love with her, but they can't be together. But they were together, and they died together in this car accident. And that's why that guy was like, I don't need to hire a maintenance guy, because the ghost is still working and doing things. But they end up crossing over together.
Oh man. Well, what grades do you give this?
It's kind of like in the one with I gave it like a little bit of one for the scary, because it got a little bit, it gets creepy, but it's more in that mold of like the Tale of C7.
Yeah.
Where it was just a great story on scary, but great.
Right.
I gave it a 5. I gave it a 5. Like this Tale of C7, like I understood what it was. It was just a great story that played out, even though I got the gist of what was going to happen.
Right.
This one, I felt like I was on my toes, like, because I have this habit of, after you watch so many movies, you can kind of figure things out.
Oh yeah.
And this one, I couldn't figure it out until the end, because like once she unfolds that paper and there's a picture of him with the girl, and it's like, you died too.
That's incredible.
And all she's doing is trying to call him over, even though he doesn't remember dying. Like he had no recollection up until that point of him dying.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah, the sister's the only one that can see him, so she's obviously interacting with him and everything else.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, so that sounds like, even though I didn't get to see it, the best episode out of all of them.
Johnny, if you got $1.99, go check it out.
I'm still not going to do it.
It was my do you have a favorite? Because this one was my favorite that I watched.
That one probably would have been if I had seen it. I really like the radio station one quite a lot. I like the swimming pool one quite a lot. I don't. I gotta say, out of the 8 that I saw, I only felt like a couple of them just weren't that great, and we kind of said which ones that weren't that great. The other ones at least had some aspects of it that I could get into. But I think just for an overall creepiness, atmosphere, and ghost being great, well, it was actually a vampire. Probably the night shift one worked the best as a. If you have kids or you are a kid and you kind of want to be scared, but you don't want to like throw them to the wolves just quite yet. It's a really great episode for that.
Yeah, my least favorite was the Vampire Town.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that one just didn't work.
All of them I can understand why they're on there for like watching them, but except for Vampire Town, like that one needs to be replaced with anything else.
Yeah, I don't get why that one's on there at all. But that is Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes.
The top 10 episodes. We finish out Nostalgia Haunted House with that. Andrew, what are you dressing up for Halloween?
I'm working, so Home Depot employee.
So as a Home Depot employee.
Home Depot employee, but I don't even dress up as a Home Depot employee because
you don't wear the orange vest or whatever that thing is, the orange apron.
No, we're not required to because we work at night.
Oh, because the night shift.
Yeah, I swear, if I see a water pump, I'm out. But I think the thing with Felix is I think I'll know the difference between a coffin, and a water pump.
Yeah, because I think most certainly was a coffin.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
When he came down there, I forgot about that. When he came down, he was like, I thought it was a water pump because that's what it said, but really it was a coffin. What?
He's a kid.
I'm glad the story was good because if it was a bad story, I would have rated it real low just based on that. What? You thought that was a water pump?
Yeah, but of course, my favorite part of this whole thing was that the ghost can drive the car. I'm just glad that I know that now. That really helps me.
I'm still annoyed by the trope. Yes.
Yeah.
But that is it. Next month, I think Nick O sent over, we're gonna review an album, a Raffi album, and then we're gonna do tournaments of heroes and villains.
Yeah, a little too Ralphie.
Yeah. We're gonna do the heroes tournament, then the villains tournament. And then the winners we're going to pin together at the end of the villains tournament. And then we go back to our movie review, normal month. So next month is pretty action-packed there.
Stacking up, I'd say. Yeah. Make sure you check out all our social medias, Nostalgia Funhouse on Facebook and Instagram. Andrew does an incredible job of keeping those up, always putting up some fun stuff on there for you to interact with.
Yes.
So make sure you check those out. And check out the Patreon. There's a lot of P words in my life. I had to think of what the one I was trying to think of. Patreon. Let me be able to afford a $1.99 episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Enjoy that.
Yeah. Check out the YouTube. We're gonna start doing probably some top 5 lists that we're gonna put on there, not together, separate. Doing our little separate things. Let's play. Next couple of days, you will be able to. I did an unboxing of Snout Spout from the He-Man Origins line, but if you want to see that now, you could always go over to the Patreon because once I schedule out YouTube videos, I put it right to Patreon probably about a week or two before the actual video comes out on YouTube.
Nice.
Little bonus for joining Patreon.
Yeah. Well worth it, I would think, especially considering it's just $1.
Yes.
I mean, the cheapest, the best bargain in all of podcasting, I would dare say.
Yes. And also to let you know that if we give you a fountain drink, we will put ice in it.
I swear to you, there will be ice in it.
But with that being said, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
And goodbye from the Nostalgia Haunted House.